I'm not going to. We have already heard from Pete and probably next week from Subbu also. We will go through the entire session. So I'm going to just talk about only few things. And before I start, I would like to really thank Guntax, Kalpana, and others who made sure that we took a detour and into this Dakshnimurthy Stotram, because this is something that uh, I have I've heard it being recited when I was younger, but of course never understood the meaning. But at the end of I think this detour, I'm able to appreciate it kind of better. So I'm going to talk about just only one aspect in this whole thing, which is on the silence part that the Dhyana Shlokam of Dakshinamurti starts off with, right? So it starts off, I mean, the Dhyana Shlokam starts off with uh, Om Mauno Vyakyaya Prakritita Parabrahma Tattvam Yuvanam. I salute Sri Dakshinamurti, the young guru, who teaches the knowledge of Brahman through silence. Now, this Brahm, the moment silence is mentioned, we also had a lot of discussions on this, in terms of how can somebody teach through silence? So what do they mean by that? And I think, the whole, at the end of this exercise, we all have understood that, the whole teaching of the Brahman is through the silence, and, and, and to kind of reiterate this, so there was one other lecture of Swami SPG, which was not on, not directly on Dakshinamurti Stotram, but he spent half an hour talking about the power of silence, and he also, of course, quoted Dakshinamurti Stotram. So he says that the highest form of teaching of the ultimate reality called Brahman is through silence. If that if that doesn't work, he says that okay, the Om is the next closest way through which the whole Brahman can be realized. So Om, as you know, it is the primordial, sound, or the seed of all the sounds, representing the entire life, the breadth and width of the life, something called life, So if that also doesn't work, then if you have a guru, who guru tells you, Tattvamasi, and suppose, let's say, even that is not, I mean, we are not, I mean, we have discussed about Tattvamasi in the third shloka, but let's say if I'm not qualified to understand my guru's teaching of Tattvamasi, then the guru tries to, I mean, there is a next step, which is like, you can be, there are verses like, Brahma Satyam, Jagat Nitya, Jiva Brahma. So, which means, the Brahman is the only reality and the world is an illusion, and the individual soul or Jiva is not different from the Brahman. So, right? I mean, that's again, that is one other way to teach the Vedanta. But then if that also doesn't work, he says that, then you have, of course, the hundreds of Upanishads and Gita and other things to uh, realize this. So coming back to kind of Maunam, so, this Maunam, what is mentioned here is not just about the absence of speech, but the presence of awareness. I think we again talked again a lot about the existence and consciousness in the second and third shlokas. So if you go to I mean, then we can ask that, why silence? Because, I mean, the words are dualistic, and because moment you express anything in a language, moment we say something, then we separate you and I, or this and that, and right. So they create distinctions, and but with the Brahman or the self, that is non-dual, right? So it is beyond any subject or object. So the separation kind of dissolves in that, and that is why Dakshinamurti, in the you know it talks about the importance of, the teaching is in the silence. So anything, this highest truth cannot be really told in words. It can only be experienced, or it can only be pointed to, which you need to realize. The second is on, uh, because we cannot explain, the moment we say words, it is objectivized. So we know it can only be realized. It cannot be, even in some of the, Nirvana Shatakam and other Upanishads, we've talked about Neti Neti, so we just kind of not this, we negate. And then what is left is what, we can say that as Brahman. So realization happens not because of the knowledge that we get, but through the stillness or the silence that enables us to kind of click that you are, you are able to experience or able to realize what is Brahman. So, and when we are truly silent, then both inwardly as well as externally, so something, so that we are able to kind of realize this aspect, and that is the this and that kind of merges, and then that becomes one, and which is the whole principle of the Advaita itself, right? So then there are multiple types of silences. So we know about Vachika Maunam, or the speech part, or the Manasik Maunam, which is the inner chatter that happens within our manas. And the final one is, you know realizing oneself. And so the Atma Maunam is what is kind of surrendering to the present moment, giving the whole attention to being aware. The awareness is what, is the point that is getting stressed here. So there is a kind, we realize that there is a connection or interconnectedness between all the things, and a sense of, we feel that Ananda also, so, peace, joy, and so Swamiji also talks about, he equates silence to ethics, you know. So, there are thousand ways to lie, right? There is only one truth, and that is realized, so similarly, there are multiple, you can have multiple thoughts and speech and everything, which is all not the reality, but the silence is what is the only reality that makes you aware of who you are. Then, so how do we do this? So one is, how can we develop this silence, in whatever we do? So the silencing the desires and wants, because the our wants and desires are the ones that leads us to the actions. So from karma to karma yoga, so you need to be letting go of our desires and wants, and that will probably make our external aspects silent. And how do we silence the mind? And that can be done through meditation. So you keep, basically from uh, removing the impure thoughts to the pure thoughts, or removing all the changes that happens to the thoughts, like vrittis that happen. So from there to, having one focused attention, and on the God, and surrendering to the Guru's presence, like what Guru Dakshnimurthy also talks about, is the ways through which, we can build the silence part. So just wanted to conclude. We just came across this uh, thing. I don't know what is the source for this thing, but I heard it in one of the lectures, not from Swami SPG, but so Shabdesu na satyam mauna tu atma swayameva prakashati. So truth is not in words. In silence, the self reveals itself effortlessly. So that's what I wanted to, uh, talk about the silence part. Just wanted to, so I want to just close with this, but then if some of you would have heard the seventh lecture of Swami SPG of Dakshnimurthy, so he talks about three stories. I mean, I I know it will be a repeat for some of you, but still, I'll take the risk of just take 1 minute to talk about that. So he talks about, why does, I mean, why do we get captured by Maya, right? I mean, why are we not able to escape Maya, samsara, uh, you know, or the effect of Maya, which is samsara, so why are we not able to escape? So he talks about three stories. So one is, a parrot getting caught, or a bird getting caught in a trap. So, you know, so you see, the picture that you see on the screen is like a simple trap, you know. Um, when the bird comes and tries to pick the seeds or whatever the grains from that, the twigs that have been kept uh, there, the twigs have been kept in such a way that, the twig kind of moves down and then immediately it closes, right? So bird, is something that, it flies so high, and it's, I mean, what is the unique aspect of a bird? It is flying, right? But when it steps on this twig, and the twig kind of goes down, instead of just flying away, it tries to capture, as if, it is going to, I mean that is how it wants to, I mean, it doesn't want to fall down, and hence catches hold of the twig, and that is, so it gets kind of deluded, is what he says. So there is a delusion that happens, and that is exactly what happens to us also. That instead of letting go, I mean, or instead of just surrendering to somebody, or instead of realizing who we are, we try to latch on to things which kind of captures us. The second one he talks about is the monkey story, where, there is a monkey tries to take out a banana from a small, narrow, uh, headed jar. All it has to do, so it is not able to take it out. All it has to do is just let go of the banana, so it'll be able to take out the hand. But, it doesn't do that, right? I mean, uh, it wants to take out the banana. In the process, it is not able to take out its own hand. Again, this is through desires and wants, so we are kind of tied to the all the same. The last story is, of course, I mean, I don't have to repeat this. So this is the, the donkey story that Swami SPG tells in multiple places. So the very aspect of, just mimicking the action of tying and untying, make sure that I mean, the donkey is not. I mean, the donkey thinks that it has been tied, and it has been now, it is getting untied, and it doesn't go away even when the washerman goes away to wash his clothes. So, and I think the same thing happens to uh, all of us too, that we are not able to. I mean, just we are just going through the motion of. Uh, I mean, the Maya basically captures us in this aspect. So this is what I thought these three I liked it, so I wanted to just share. So
Beautiful examples and the way you captured them, Sakuba.
Kudos,
Really.
man. Sakuba, taking just that silence and creating the whole presentation needs lot of courage. But awesome job, awesome job. I really loved the entire concept. Uh, nice. Thank you.
Very nice,
thank you.
Satya.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Very innovative also, huh?
Yeah, Sakuba, just two things from your slide. Can you go to the first slide?
Yeah. One second. But I'm not able to move forward. Just 1 second, give me.
Yeah. bit slow.
This is the one.
Yeah, just keep it there. No? Yeah, correct. Thank you. So, you finally said, na, if it doesn't work, then you have to go to Gita and Upanishads. And Swami P has got on extra. If you don't go to Gita and Upanishad, na, better luck next Janma. Okay.
Yeah.
So, just a joke. So, he says, you have to do either of the things. If you don't do any of these things, it is only your next Janma you need to try. So, that was one thing. And the another, technical subject what he was discussing is, when you talked about silence, there is something called, relative silence and absolute silence. So that is what he says. So most of the people get bogged down in the relative silence when we do the, Nirvikalpa Samadhi. So what silence they experience is a relative silence. Of course, the relative silence gives a lot of peace. Okay, you can actually dwell in the silence and you can be happy forever. So it gives a kind of, pseudo happiness, which is not the real happiness. So he says you need to get to the absolute silence. The absolute silence is, of course, consciousness, which cannot be realized at all. So he brings that distinction, saying that in the Nirvikalpa Samadhi, if you want to realize, Brahman, it is not possible. So that was one thing he was trying to say. So you need to go one step further. Even that silence is getting recognized by the consciousness. So consciousness does not only recognize the objective, parts, it also recognizes the silence. So which is called the absolute silence. So he brings that context. So I thought that also is a part of your, silence presentation. And very nice, Akuba. Very interesting. Okay. And like Uday said, boldly put the three stories and, actually hit us to understand, what exactly we are doing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Saku, just go back to the slide before the stories, no? There was a last takeaway in that slide which you went very fast. We didn't get to see. Last part one, before the stories. Let us not merely seek the truth in words, but listen deeply in silence. Okay, thanks. And this is from Swami P's lectures, is it? Or is it something else that you picked up?
No, nothing of this is from Swami P's lecture. I've taken from Swami SPG, but not this last one.
Okay. Do share. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
In fact, Swami SPG also talks about one other thing, in between where you said Om and other things. He also says the Gayatri is another sort of way to
Okay.
think
Yeah,
about.
I think I left that. Yeah.
Probably missed that.
Yeah.
And at what level does the Gayatri come? It is before the Gita.
I think it's either Tattvamasi and then Gayatri, maybe.
Okay.
I mean, it becomes bigger as you go towards the Upanishads.
Thank you.